Good evening, fellow Biafrans, men and women of goodwill and of good conscience. This is a very special broadcast this evening. My apologies. We seem to be under serious attacks. My system is not working as it should be. A lot of back and forth, and that was the reason why we were not able to actually come on as expected. Nevertheless, with every amount of certainty, with every amount of determination, and with the presence of the Most High God on our side, there is nothing any man, any woman, not even the demon can do. We are here this evening on this day, the 24th of July 2020, coming to you at this particular point in time in strict adherence to the call to duty, to the total restoration of Biafra sovereignty that was wrongly robbed us. The Most High God, Chukwu Okike, will always be in charge, and as you can see, the enemies are running helter-skelter. They are trying everything they can to try to undermine us, to try and cast aspersion on what we are doing. The baby saboteurs are everywhere. We have our default enemies, and these people are from the northern Fulani extraction. Some of them are from outside the contraption called Nigeria, but they are of course having a field day, all in a bid to try to destroy this restoration effort. But because this project is ordained by the Most High God, because heaven and earth are in agreement, there is nothing that they can do. This is a very live broadcast, very pointed, I must say. We're not going to stay for a long time because we have lost some useful amount of time. Precious time has been lost trying to put one or two things together. But be rest assured that we are going to be interactive as much as we can. This broadcast, of course, is mostly on Facebook, on YouTube, and other social media platforms. We're making effort to relay it via our Radio Biafra app, because, like I said, My system has been under attack for quite some time now. But before any advent, we must, as always, in our traditional manner, hand over the proceedings of this broadcast into the hands of the Most High God, Chukwu Okike, He who sees in secret and in the open, the mighty one in battle, the one who has told us to move, that nothing, there is nothing that the kingdom of darkness can do. We ask Him to descend in His majestic power, in His mighty valor, to as always direct the affairs of this evening, to continue to incapacitate our enemies wherever they are, to continue to render them powerless and impotent. He shall indeed level the potholes that they have dug for us, but that pothole shall be a graveyard. It shall turn into a graveyard for them, and they shall never escape it. Their camps shall be desolate. They shall continue to cry, and no one will come to their aid. Their camps shall continue to be in confusion. And as you can see, the contraption called Nigeria is in an almighty mess. The center can no longer hold. It is not our making as human beings. It is the spiritual chastisement of the Most High God, because so much blood has been shed, more so much blood of innocent Biafrans, all in a bid to keep that contraption, that Lugadian enclave called Nigeria together. It is a cycle of corruption, injustice, and deception. And therefore, at some point, and as soon as divine providence approves, that entity called Nigeria shall no longer exist when that time comes. On our part as Biafrans, we continue to dedicate everything we have, everything in our senior, to the service of the Most High God, and in turn ask Him to make us partakers of this all-important restoration effort, to continue to imbue us with strength, with courage, with determination, and never to waver, to continue to bless the leader of this global movement, Mazi and his family, and to also give us the courage, the determination, the sincerity of heart that are needed to advise him accordingly and in the right way. Every principal officer, every principal servant of IPOB is under divine duty to advise the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi, accordingly, and not to give him wrong information. And wherever we see that, it is a collective responsibility that we must stand up to those people who may have been shaking their responsibility. This restoration effort is one ordained under the institution of the Most High God. And therefore, we must owe every duty to one another. Men and women have died as a result of this cause that we are fighting for. And that is all the more the reason why we must dedicate ourselves to this ultimate restoration of Biafra. There is no middle ground. It is either we are here or we are not here. And it is either that we tell ourselves the truth or we don't tell ourselves the truth. But we have vowed that the truth must be spoken at all times. And so we ask the Most High God to give us that courage, that determination, that level-headedness to apply ourselves to duty, and to continue to guide us until total restoration of Biafra is consummated and become a reality in our lives. We ask you, the Most High God, to do this for us. May the souls of our gallant heroes and heroines who have paid the ultimate price that we may have our freedom continue to rest in his bosom, but may they never rest where their murderers are. May they never rest where the prosecutors of the most heinous, the most wicked war of genocide against Biafrans are. They shall all die before Biafra is restored, and if they don't, they are going to be in vegetative state. Most of them will be confessing. It will be better for them that they are not alive. We ask you, the Most High God, to allow the nemesis that these people deserve to befall them. May the spirit of these gallant heroes and heroines who have paid the ultimate price, that we may have our freedom as a result of the devilish and connivance of these evil men and women, both in the zoo called Nigeria and in Biafra land. May they continue to rest in peace, but may they bring calamity to those we have mentioned that have prosecuted this war. May this be a reality in the lives of these men and women who are still running the contraption called Nigeria. But on the part of Biafrans, may it be victory, may it be success, may it be prosperity, and ultimately, may the Biafra restoration effort be completed. And maybe Biafra, that was hungry, robbers, our lost inheritance, be restored in our lifetime. That we will not hand over this baton to our children or to generations to come. Do this for us now, give us victory and take the glory. To this we say amen and amen and amen.
Amen.
Ise, Ise, Ise. My name is Uche Mefor, and I will go this evening to bring in two of our elders, because they say that Biafra and the IPOB do not have elders. We have elders in IPOB, and they are respectful and respectable elders for that matter. I will not say anything. I will go to them individually to introduce themselves, and I will go to our Secretary of State, the Secretary General of IPOB, I must say.
Thank you very much, my deputy. My warm greetings to all the listeners, and my respect to our American rep, Obienu. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And I'll go to our American rep.
Thank you very much, Mazi Mefor. Thank you for having me. Greetings to all Biafrans wherever you are. I'm checked in from Los Angeles. My Secretary General, my hands are up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Let me just remind us, Doctor, you may have to mute your microphone because I think I'm hearing some audio. Or echo, as the case may be. Yes, we are back and we are ready to go. Once again, my apologies to all Biafrans who have been waiting for this broadcast. It has been as a result of unforeseen events or occurrences hinging on technical issues that we have. I don't know what is going on, but it appears that my own system is not in a very sound condition. Sometimes he works at efficiency, some other time he doesn't. But as we speak, we thank the Most High God that we are talking to Biafrans. I don't know whether this is going on or going out on a radio platform, our app and FM relay station, but otherwise we will have to do something about it, and we'll have to, of course, continue. This is once again your platform, and we are going to dive into the main issue of the day, The Biafra Restoration Project is a divine project. It is a project of everybody that calls him or herself or themselves indigenous people of Biafra. We have official and unofficial documentation, in the sense that there are people who come out in a positive sense and openly identify with IPOB. These are the people we call family members of indigenous people of Biafra. They are everywhere, scattered all over the place. Almost everywhere on this planet Earth that there is life, you will see IPOB family members, either officially or unofficially. But officially, we are in more than 100 countries. But our enemies, we always want you to believe that no, they are nowhere. They are not telling you the truth. You don't need to waste your time with this set of people. You don't need to waste your time explaining to anybody. All you need to do is to stick to the rules that are guiding us, our guiding principle, by identifying with the IPOB family where you are. Even our enemies are bearing us witness, but they will not want to. In fact, they will not want to come out in the open. But in their quiet time, they know that IPOB is formidable, that IPOB is universal, IPOB is Catholic in nature. And it is under the leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Nobody disputes that, and not today, not tomorrow. And anybody we see doing that, of course, we will fire that person or that group of people to a stance. And on our part, individually and collectively, it is our responsibility to remain conscientious, to remain very focused, and dedicate ourselves to duty. Indigenous people of Biafra, as Dr. Okeadu, I like that expression, is a steering body that has been at the forefront of making sure that Biafra is restored as it should be. A lot of people were of the opinion that this name Biafra should be jettisoned. A number of people are of the opinion that, oh, this name Biafra brings grief and difficulties. And they approached us as far back as 2014, 2015, telling us to forget about that name, for us to use another name and get in there through the back door, so that when we get there, we will now tell them that we have arrived. We say to them, no. No, for the simple reason that this name, Biafra, is a name that we will use to go to anywhere, be it outside or inside every sphere of our operations. That this name, that millions of people have died because of it. And without Biafra, we are nothing. And then we continued. On a very sound note, we continued. And what you are seeing today is as a result of resilience. It's as a result of commitment. It's as a result of sacrifices made by men, women, and children. A number of us could not make it. A number of us died in the process. And it is because of them that we are doing what we are doing today. We are not going to abandon this cause until total liberation, total emancipation of Biafra land and restoration of our sovereignty that was wrongly robbed us is a reality in our lives. But one thing is strange there. These people that are telling us not to continue with the restoration of Biafra, that there is a way of doing it, they answered so many names. They don't have followers. These are 2 men, 5 men gang. They are the people going about as we speak today, saying all manner of things, sabotaging everything we are doing, sabotaging our efforts. I'm thinking that that is the way to go. Their characters, their dispositions are not different from that of the contraption called Nigeria. And so, it is either you are in the Biafra Association family or you are outside it. When you see enemies, you will know them. When you see people who are undermining our effort, you will know them. But we will not allow them to distract us. We will not allow them to derail us. We shall continue to do what we are doing conscientiously and dedicatedly. More importantly, we must shield and defend the heart of this project, that it shall never see corruption. It is a commitment all of us must make. It is a commitment that we must not for 1 minute think of jettisoning. Because without the effort that we have made in the past, we will not be where we are today. Having said that, there are a lot of issues that are before us that we must have to tackle with every amount of courage, every amount of determination. The issue of sabotage is one of them. And the issue of the work that we have to do is also another. We have our default enemies, from the Futajelon, the Fulanis who are killing and destroying lives. We know them, they are our external enemies. But on the home front, we must not also be assuming that we don't have any problem. In fact, our greatest obstacle is on the home front because of the nonchalant attitude, because of the criminal silence of some individuals and groups, because of some individuals who have gone out of their way to make sure that what we are doing does not see the light of the day. We must not keep quiet over it. Then there is the issue of processes. The issue of the things that are expected that we should do. And these are, as a matter of law and fact. We touched on these things in the last broadcast that we made. We talked about the issue of Biafra nationhood, which is an irreducible minimum. There is no running away from it. And so the people of Biafra must brace up to the challenges ahead. Some of the requirements that are expected of us have been met. Some of them not completely. Some of them we are still working towards achieving that. It is not a new thing, for avoidance of doubt. It is part and parcel of what we are doing. It is part and parcel of what we've been doing before. But the issue is that we have never explained it the same way we are explaining it today. We are making efforts to sensitize the international community on the issue and on the imperative of restoring Biafra. And so our external responsibility is there. Internal responsibility is also there. And as we do the one of outside, that of external, we must also commit to the internal one as well. These are the processes that I mentioned about. People are expecting us to come up with a roadmap on how Biafra will be restored. People are expecting us to come up with what do I call it? Yeah, roadmap. They say this roadmap. Tell them step by step what you are going to do, how you are going to restore Biafra. You have to draw the map of Biafra and carry it on your head and keep going from place to place. You have to itemize the steps you are going to take, and then you carry it as a signpost in front of you and at the back of yourself and keep going around. What these people are looking for is different from what we are looking for. We are saying that we are restoring Biafra. What does that mean in our own case? Restoration of Biafra means to bring back Biafra how it was between 1967 and 1970. That is the meaning of restoration. To restore, to bring back, to revive what was there before that is no more there, or that is no more the way it was, back to normalcy, back to what it was. So I don't know what these people mean by roadmap when we are talking about restoring Biafra. Biafra was a state that was in existence. What we lost was our sovereignty, but the people of Biafra are still there. The surviving generations are still working strong and strong, and even stronger. All of us are witnesses to this. So what we need to do is to make a very strong demand on the fact that Biafra was wrongly robbed us. As a matter of fact, it can be argued that Biafrans are under occupation by the Nigerian state because Biafra was forcibly taken away from us. That is another side of the argument. But we are a people. Biafra was an adopted name. Let me put it that way. Because inside Biafra you have the nations that make up Biafra. That is a collective name with which the old eastern region was known. Today, because of desperation, because of the criminal connivance of some individuals, a number of Biafran territories have been delineated and communities living there have been uprooted and put into hostile communities as we speak today. And so we have the issue of balkanization of Biafran territory. But Biafrans still know whom they are today. And so I drew the attention of our people, we, not I, because we were together in this program, we drew the attention of our people on the issue of territory, which is also a requirement in international law. That for us to restore Biafra, the issue of the territory of Biafra must be sorted out. It is not a new thing. This is what IPOB has been doing right from time, but it is something that we must have to call a cardinal objective this time around, because almost everything, sensitization and all that, has been done. Nobody cannot claim that he doesn't know anything about Biafra. So those nitty-gritty, those issues that are remaining are the things that we are going to be focusing on as we do efforts to bring to the attention of the international community the killings, the maimings, the human rights abuses, the genocide, the crime against humanity being committed against our people. We also have to do something on the whole front. And Biafra has to be restored in accordance with the dictates of international law of self-determination. And that is the reason why we adhere to the principle of non-violence, but of course using civil disobedience to drive home our point. And so for people who are saying, oh, Biafra, IPOB is going to join Nigerian politics, they are just deliberately distorting facts. Because if you listen to our broadcast last time, you will understand that we were very clear in what we are saying. We must continue to remind our people of the requirements of international law, of us, that we must have to fulfill. The principle of statehood of Biafra. And for Biafra to be restored, there are 4 criteria, there are 4 requirements in international law, otherwise known as the declaratory requirement, declaratory theory, or the Montevideo Declaration of 1933. It requires that a state, as a person in international law, must have those requirements. And those requirements are, 1, that there must be a defined territory. There must be a defined Biafran territory. Where is this territory that we are looking for? The people of Biafra should be able to identify that territory, which is the Biafran territory. We have it already. We have it. The whole of the area they now call Southeast is the land of Biafra. No matter what anybody says. If they doubt us, let them put it through the democratic process of referendum and they will understand. The area that they now call South-South is also the land of Biafra because it was part of the old Eastern region. And so, let nobody bring up the argument of saying, we are not part of that Biafra you are talking about and all that. Because the restoration effort is all about restoring Biafra to what it was before. Now, because we believe in democracy, because there has been the criminal delineation of boundaries, there has been the criminal uplifting of people who were in their natural environment into hostile territories. There is need for us to consult, and we are doing so as we speak, with the people of Biafra in different other territories, for them to agree across board that they are part of Biafra. So that is the issue of territory that we're talking about. There must be a defined territory. There is a territory of Biafra already in existence. What's come to worst, what it will be is that it is either that territory increases as a result of more people joining Biafra, or that the territory decreases as a result of people saying, oh, we are not part of Biafra. But that does not invalidate the fact that we have Biafran territory. It is either that it is reduced or that it is increased. So let people not get themselves confused about this. We must all be conscious of it because it is part of the requirements of international law that is imposed on us, and in fact on any other people that are seeking for the restoration of their lost sovereignty or for formation of a new state. The second requirement is that there must be a population, settled population. Settled population, of course, when you have territory, you have a people there. There must be a people that say that they are the people of Biafra and that they identify with the nation called Biafra. Today we have it. We have it, and nobody can say that we don't have it. Even if it is 5 people, even if there are 5 people, even if there are 10, as long as these people says we are the people of Biafra, there's nothing you can do about it. So let people not worry themselves about all this. But we needed to bring it to the attention of our people that what we are doing is in line with the dictates and requirements of international law. So the people of Biafra are in their millions today, and they are identifying themselves with things that they are known for. If you see a Biafran today, he or she has no doubt in his mind that he's a Biafran, for avoidance of doubt. So it doesn't matter the population. After all, Biafran territory is a home to millions of people, if not billions, that are larger than some countries in Europe and in the Scandinavians. So we must not worry ourselves. What we need to do is to organize our people that the consciousness of these will be alive in their memories, that they will live up to this responsibility, or rather the consciousness that they are Biafrans and that they are a people. Not when this person is saying this one, another person is saying the other one. We need to know that until we come together and call ourselves the people of Biafra, of course, which IPOB is at the forefront of doing, we will be falling short of the requirements of international law. But thank God that we are on the right track in that. The third one, I think I will have to allow our guests on this program to say something, but let me just quickly run down this. The next program I'm going to do regarding this, I will bring in the issue of law-decided cases on statehood around the world. Every experience of a people that have fought for their independence, that have fought for creation of states, or that have created a new state for themselves, have been different. Experiences differ. It has never been the same. Therefore, that of the people of Biafra is also unique in their own way. And so some of these requirements may or may not apply to us. But they are basic minimum. A country, a state is not created in a vacuum. Independence is not gotten in a vacuum. There must be a territory having that independence. There must be a people championing for that independence. And the third one is government. There must be a government governing the territory. There must be a government making laws and policies for the people and to which the people pay allegiance to. There must be a government supported and put in place by the people. What is happening today in our own lifetime, in our own experience, is an aberration in Biafran territory. The contraption called Nigeria has been making every frantic effort to try to undermine what IPOB is doing. They sponsor the number of individuals to be casting aspersion on what we are doing. You have not, you don't need to worry yourselves about all this because these are expected. All these distractions are expected. Nigeria has lost almost everything. Nigeria is just like a drowning case or individual looking for where they can cling on. When I said this thing last time, some roadside media, unfortunate media platforms on Facebook went on and said, IPOB is going to join Nigerian politics. Where very clearly, I made it abundantly clear that the Nigerian political system is corrupt, that the Nigerian political system does not work, it doesn't work for anyone, and that the political system in Nigeria, in fact, they don't have political system. Because your PVC does not count, your vote does not count, and all that. And I was making reference to the fact that Biafran territory must be insulated from the Nigeria political influence. And that the people of Biafra must have the right to decide who is at the helm of affairs in Biafra land, not in Nigeria. I was making reference to the fact that the people of Biafra must have a say in what happens to them in Biafra land, either directly or indirectly. Either that those in government are doing the right thing for the people, or that the indigenous people of Biafra will indirectly force the hands of these people to do what the people want. If they say no, we say no. I made reference to the fact that the same effort, the same energy we are spending or applying to fight our external enemy must be maintained, but also directed as well to the home front. Because there are some agents of the zoo called Nigeria who are working night in, night out, day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, to undermine what we are doing. And so we are going to deploy the same method that we have used, civil disobedience method, to get what we want in Biafra land. If they want to go to the gutter, we go to the gutter. If they don't want it, then let them give us what we want. The policies that are being dished out for the people of Biafra must reflect their wishes. It's as simple as that. There is no other way of doing it. Otherwise, we will be hallucinating. They are using the fact that we say that we are not going to join the Nigerian politics and then trying to exclude our people. Trying to exclude the people. And running down on their wishes and aspirations. So time has come when every effort will have to be directed against those who are in charge of political offices in Biafra land, that they must do what the people of Biafra want them to do. If they don't do it, then the people will go against them. I don't want to mention any specific towns, but of course, we the people of Biafra have right to be represented, and we have the right for our wishes to be met in Biafra land. There's no other way of doing it. And so, it is either that the people in politics in Biafra land does what we want, or we force them to do that. We mount pressure on them to do that. Indigenous people of Biafra are a people, and the processes put in place are semi-government in nature. And so at the appropriate time and when every consultation has been completed, we have a semi-government structure in place for avoidance of doubt. Let them go and twist it anyhow they like it, but at the appropriate time, the zoo will find out that they have run out of ideas and there's nothing that they can do. Neighborhood by neighborhood, community by community, the people of Biafra must continue to organize themselves. If you have not joined IPOB family, join IPOB where you are. Very important. This family of IPOB is indivisible. But we also know that there are some bad eggs claiming to be members of IPOB. It is the responsibility of the conscientious men and women of this great family to stand up to them. The principle of Biafra restoration is anchored on justice, equity, and fairness, human rights, and fundamental freedom. You may not understand the import of all this, but it is exemplified, it is epitomized in the values that we share commonly among ourselves. The golden rule principles. If we know that thing that we want people to do to us, we have to do it to others. If we know those things that we don't want people to do against us, we shouldn't do it to others. It is our responsibility as a people to stand up to the bullies among us. Wherever we see them, we have to stand up against them. It is our responsibility to stand up to make sure that the right thing is done, because the world is looking at us. It is our responsibility to live up to our civic duties to the land of Biafra. In turn, the land of Biafra will favor us. We must stand up against any form of injustice wherever we see it, whether within or outside us. We must stand up against any form of discrimination. We must stand up against any form of injustice arising from individuals or groups using their position to undermine, to suppress others, or to victimize others. We must stand up to the fact that there are a number of people who are making complaints in different families, especially in Biafra land. We must stand up to the fact that justice must be served, especially on the cases of those who have said that they were wrongly maltreated. Their voices must be heard. The voice of everyone must be heard. That is the principle that we signed up for. And it doesn't matter if it is Uche Mefor that you have seen gone to the extent of doing all those things. Go after him. Do not keep quiet and die in silence. Anywhere you see evil around us or even inside us, stand up against it. Very important. I will, for a moment, go to the panelists that we have, Dr. Okeadu and Mazi, Obidi, Obienu, to say whatever they want to say. I have spoken for a while now, and I don't intend to continue. Of course, as we go on, we will be bringing in a number of other issues. Doctor, I'm handing over to you.
Thank you, my deputy, and thank you, my rep. Once more, I renew my greetings to our viewers and listeners. My deputy, thank you very much for your in-depth pinpointing of the issues of our action plan. And may I ask you permit me to substantiate on some of it?
Yes, by all means, go ahead, please. Yes, by all means, go ahead.
My deputy, what is clear is that IPOB has a very important responsibility for Biafrans in general. And the Biafrans in general, from my own point of view, appears to be looking on IPOB for their future direction and even for the present and future direction. So for that reason, I think it has a steering role to play in this process of the restoration of our nation. IPOB has convinced our people of its deep knowledge of our country, Biafra, and the historical dynamics. But however, it is important that we recognize the need for genuine expertise that can practicalize most of the issues that we have raised all these years. The need for expertise is important because that can be the only means to overcome certain deadlines. And then in this steering role, we have to be very careful.
Yes, doctor, go ahead, please. Yes, doctor,
okay.
Go ahead.
And in this steering role, IPOB has to be very, very careful to apply democratic principles.
I think your voice is cutting out a little bit. Yes, better.
I am
Better,
saying
doctor.
that, okay, I'm saying that in this process of our restoration, that we must be very, very careful on issues regarding the application of democratic principles, because it is important. We are in the year 2020, and we don't have to be drifted very, very retrogressively on certain dictatorial tendencies, and this may be the risk in front of us. We have to be very careful about that. At all levels, we must have to sacrifice to apply democratic principles. Therefore, if we might describe our IPOB is an organization, is a key non-stakeholder. It is not a government, but a local standing for Biafra.
Did you say a key non-stakeholder or what did you say?
A key non-state stakeholder. A key non-state.
Why? Yeah, okay. Non-state. I now understand the
non-state
stakeholder. Yeah, okay.
Yes. It is not a government, but a local standing for Biafrans. It has a civic and governance prongs as a matter of unavoidable circumstances. With all these characteristics, IPOB must have to guide towards this steering role for the restoration of Biafra. It is important this time to start extending, as you have already said, certain structural roles and consolidation to Biafran territories, upland and riverine, for the process of operationalization and formalization of actions for the restoration of our nation. IPOB in its steering role must set the pace for this action. So as we can see, the steering role from the point of view of the action plan we are discussing about is a difficult role. I tried my best to break it down, or maybe to bring it to popular understanding. That's why I'm trying maybe to give definitions that should appear practical, however. That recalls my attention to a caption that I saw in one of the social media, worship media, anchored by Dr. Chidi from Canada this afternoon, a few hours ago. The caption of the program was that Biafra is not an association. And there was communication directed to the young generation, whom appears to understand Biafra's main fact of association. So he went further to explain exactly what our deputy most of the time about the meaning of indigenous people of Biafra, that is a people. So we have to understand that. So let it be clear to everyone that IPOB steering role is consequential, and IPOB accepts it with dishonor and privilege given to her by the people of Biafra, and they are quite optimistic to steer them to the right direction and to the final scope. My deputy, another point I would like to hammer on That might be very difficult, but help me, direct me in case, because it's a very difficult issue or topic or term, I must say. I consider it to be restoration protocol. Please.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going on it now. Recall me if in due time, I think we shall.
They're saying, Doctor, sorry, they're saying that your vocabulary is very high, that you have to bring it down. So,
Okay,
but go ahead and let's see how it goes.
okay, my dear. I will try my best. But I am trying to say, in order to break down our action plan, considering the year in which we are, as our leader has pronounced already, in due time, it may be necessary for us to have a restoration protocol. What should or what I may call restoration guidelines, if we may leave that of protocol. But what should that refer? Definitely, the restoration protocol and guidelines will imply having a date and time and location
of certain events. Is that correct?
Of certain events, correct. It's indispensable. It has to be because remember, why date? You might ask why date and all these specifications. It's important because it's an event that will mark a turning point in the lives of millions of Biafran citizens and well-wishers. It's going to be a historic event. And for the world and for Biafrans, it's a worldwide celebration of democracy based upon freedom and justice. So in due time, we must have to, outline these guidelines or protocols. I think it's an implicate. We shall be obliged to do that because that's one of the processes to break down the action plan. And another important issue, my deputies, that it is time that we make it clear for Biafrans in general that this process of restoration, they owe the onus or the burden to prove it with a symbolic civic act as likely or as may be instructed by our leadership. They must have to bear this in mind that this restoration, the burden, the onus lies on them. The leadership will make pronunciation or instructions, but Biafran citizens should know that the onus lies on them.
There must be participatory exercise in some of those pronouncements.
There should be the protagonists. There should be protagonists. There must not be the protagonists. Any instruction or pronunciation given to them, there must be protagonists towards it. So it's important to bear this in mind because I know why I'm trying to pinpoint this, because it appears that the abstract notions, just like many might say, we are directing to the leadership, give us order for me to defend myself even when I'm in danger. No. When you are in danger, you have to defend yourself. You don't have to wait for an order. Hello?
Now, doctor, let me, just 1 minute. I don't know whether it's appropriate to come in at this particular point in time or for you to finish. But okay, let me take that note. Let me take a note of it. Go ahead. There's something I needed to say. Go on.
Okay, my deputy. So, why am I saying this? And then, my deputy, allow me to make another important point. Another important point that we have to bear in mind is that triggering of our restoration is a short-term action. Triggering of our restoration is a long-term action. It's a short-term action. But building of a restored nation will be that of a long-term action. So we must have to distinguish between these two phases, because if we don't do that, we may be confusing issues. So triggering of our restoration is a short-term action. It's realistic, maybe as our leader says it, that is to be 2020. It's realistic. But we also have to remember that building of a restored nation is a long-term process. It's a long-term action. So it's important to understand this. Then the issue is that while breaking down the action plan, we must not neglect or undermine the indispensability of restoration processes and instruments, particularly the instruments.
Doctor, I'm sorry, people are still complaining. They say you have to go soft on your grammar. And so I'll recommend that you try, and if you throw one of the grammars, you try to substantiate or explain it, break it down with another lighter vocabulary.
Okay, my deputy. I'm sorry for that. But to be sincere, my deputy, it's a bit difficult also. But
Yes. Go ahead. Go
We are
ahead.
trying to practicalize certain issues. I think that's it. When I'm saying that triggering of our restoration, because remember, as I said, it's an action that will mark a turning point in our life of millions of Biafrans. It's not a child's play. We all have to understand that. And who is thinking? And it's a moment that we need to be very close to our leader, because it's a difficult moment. You can see even only the pronunciation he makes, you can see the attacks coming from here and there. So what I mean is that
It is our responsibility, principal servants, to bring it closer to the people
it's
by
important. It's very, very
by
important.
initiating certain processes that will make people to understand it.
It's very, very important, because the point is that, remember, as I said earlier, we must convince the international community. Let me give an instance. A mere statement of our leader is not sufficient to convince the international community. It's not sufficient. Even no matter
The actions
how,
of the people matter. What the
quite,
people do matter.
quite.
What they do matters a lot.
That's and my deputy, that's the de facto. Is the meaning of the de facto. That's the de facto, the most put in fact, that their determination to have their freedom. So, and then comes, this is the steering role, the captain role our leader is playing. They should understand that. So what I mean, all hands must be on deck. That's practically what I'm trying to say. And then, so what I am trying to say is that
Everything, sorry, doctor, it's just like everything we are doing has to be formalized. It's just like what we are what we are saying about participation of the people. It means that people will take active role in asserting their right to self-determination by giving,
definitely,
by kind of, okay, let me put it this way. People should, as we have our meetings in different communities, in different places, people should be able to make public pronouncement, formalize their meetings, signing documents, and of course making it available. These are some of the things. Yeah, that is, I'm just trying to break it down, doctor, because not everybody understands what these instruments are making reference to is. Instrument, is it metal, or what you're calling instrument? Is it pen, or Because
No, because my deputy, they will come into play. They will come into play mostly when we are to have confrontation with third parties. Because remember what we are playing, and it's not a matter for Nigerian politics. This is matter for international law and international politics. So
in the zoo, among the people of the contraption corner, they'll even be thinking that you're talking about weapons, instruments, that kind of thing. So it's very important that you explain it very well and call it by its
I know
name.
that you and my rep is there. You know, I'm in a good hands. I made the invitation before I started, isn't it? I made the invitation that please call me back in case, you know. Please, I'm in a good hand. I know that. Please call me back. So what I am trying to say, my deputy and rep, is that we have to do these things because why it is a matter for Biafrans in general is that they owe a duty to actualize the pronouncement of our leader. They should bear this in mind. There is the Biafrans that owe the duty to actualize his pronouncement. He can't pronounce and actualize it. So let's understand this through this thing. So
the people will give it a teeth. The
They
people
must
will have to
enforce
buy
and
it.
ensure the compliance. Yes, they must enforce the pronouncement and ensure its compliance. So it's important, very, very important. So I don't know if I successfully come out from this, because
Yes, to a larger extent.
Thank you very much. Let me proceed. It was
but
a very
be conscious of time. You know, we didn't come out
okay,
that
my deputy.
early, so
Okay,
that
my deputy.
our American rep will also have an input.
Okay, I may even stop here. We shall have another time. Let me stop here and give him the
Or come back at some point.
That's all right. That's all right, my deputy. Thank you, my rep. So I hand over to you. I'm happy to have managed to come out from the.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
by implication, our people must be very conscious of what is going on. There are some
No, it's
people who are
important.
going about distracting what we are doing, trying to. They are of course paid agents of the zoo called Nigeria, or they are allies in Biafra land. Our
My
people
deputy
in
was
different communities must not be distracted. We must continue
my
to do what we are doing.
it was the point that I wanted to hammer. That's on perfidious intellectuals. But let's leave it because we shall have another time for that.
No, it's not another
Move on.
time. You will come back maybe after the
Okay.
contribution of
Okay,
our
thank you very
American
much,
rep.
Thank you very much, and thank you, my rep. I hand over to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. My role model, I will say thank you again for having me. And I will say again, it's good afternoon from here to all Biafrans, our leader, if you're listening.
Can I just say something? If you have like your phone, if you are using your phone to listen to the book, I think is better you turn it off. I don't know because there is an echo.
No, not from here.
Okay, it's better now. Go ahead.
Not from here. So what I was saying is, good afternoon from here to all Biafrans, starting from our leader, wherever you are. I know you. I was listening to you a few hours ago and everything. Thank you, Mazi Mefor, for this program. And now, as I've always told you, this program will continue because we cannot just leave it alone for our leaders to come and make pronouncements and say a lot of things, and then we'll go back indoors and be watching. Okay, Igbo people, as far as we know, when you plant a yam, you have the obligations to fix the whether branches they call it or not. You don't let the leaves grow wild. You try to put it in order, and if you put it in order, that's how you have you will get a good yam. Otherwise, if you let the stem grow wild, grow out of hand, you know, your efforts are in vain. And part of this, the reason for this program is to try to put that stem in place so that we will continue to sojourn. There are so many things said here. And Deputy, I'll ask you again. You know, it's a lot of things that you said, and I'm not going to recall most of the things that I believe in the subsequent editions. When you bring in a point, it's important for us to say something on that, and then we move to the next discussion point, because you said a lot of things in an hour. So many things that you touched on.
Okay, so
And
go ahead. I mean,
yeah,
we have a lot
no,
of things to
yeah,
fragmentation of,
yeah. I honestly
you know.
speaking, because two things that I picked on at the initial introduction. It's one, you mentioned that the heart of this restoration project will never be allowed to see corruption. That alone can be discussed on an entire day. And then you talked about the processes which my Secretary General was trying to bring to a clearer understanding to our viewers. Although I see a lot of commenting about the English and the vocabulary that it's using, but you know what? This is what it is. But what I'm going to do here is to tap on those two things and then maybe bring it a little bit low, you know, bring it a little bit common to our viewers. Now,
Yes,
this
go
is a
ahead.
project, and this project, I see it, and I've said it before, I see it as I know a lot of people will say they are not Christians, but from my own perspective, I see it as the parable of the vineyard. And the parable of the vineyard, if you don't know about it, is about this man that has a big old farm, wanted to cultivate the farm, and he went out to hire people. He went out in the morning and hired people who are supposed to work in this farm. And the people he hired in the morning, when the owner saw that these people are not able to complete his target, he went out and hired another group of people. And he went out several times to hire different groups of laborers. And at each time he went out to hire, he will discuss with them and agree on pay. And at the end of the day, he paid everybody accordingly and how they agreed on. Some of the people that came in the morning started grumbling and say, "Oh, you know, we've been here since morning. How come you are paying us just like people you just went out to hire at 3 o'clock?" And the owner of the vineyard said to them, "So, are you telling me now that I don't have the right to be generous as far as I want?" And in other words, he was trying to tell them that he has the right to pay anybody. And the thing is, the agreed payment. And in this situation of Biafra, one prize is restoration of Biafra. It doesn't matter when you come in. Uh, it doesn't matter if you get weary along the line. But this is what it is. And then Dr. Okeadu talked about the steering role. which is part of the processes. But I do want to beg us to understand, because I had a deputy said something about being in the forefront. I do want to beg us to understand that IPOB is the only group that is pursuing the restoration of Biafra. We don't have rivalries to assign the steering role or the forefront. IPOB is doing it alone. Thank God for our leader, whom God gave the mantle, thought about it very well. And here we are talking about Biafra. And everything is going in place, regardless of people who are going and making color codes of zones in Biafra land and mapping out steps. Any person that is very reasonable will understand that this is not a question of step, because what we're fighting is a monster. So if you think there's a particular tactics with which you will fight this monster, then you are wrong. Because what happens is that if you go that route and the monster blocks that route, what are you going to do? And I'm so happy for what IPOB is doing so far. We don't have a color-coded roadmap because we already know what we're fighting. If they come today, we change tactics. Did you not hear our leader the other day say we are now forgiving Ohaneze, and a lot of people get upset? For the meantime, let's give them a chance. Did you not hear him talk about working with the Odu? Did we start with Odu? So these are the things that is very clear example of tactics that we are going to use, and then already we can see that these tactics are yielding fruit. The zoo is crumbling, just like a chicken. When you cut off the head of a chicken, what happens? That's when you see them very forceful to do their last bid on earth. And that's what you see the Nigerian government is doing. If I'm mistaken, they calling it government, the contraption, because there's no government. You see what is happening now. As much as we are planning on what to do, they are throwing all kinds of strategies. As you have seen now, the latest strategy is to show that they are good for stopping corruption. Corruption, they call it. They can't even pronounce it. Corruption. And that's how they started with a lot of other. They started with the woman, they say it's internal affairs, and how he distributed money for the COVID-19. They came to Magu, and then they went to NDDC, okay? And it's just a discussion point for the ignorant people in that contraption to be dancing on while the year is moving closer and closer to 21. Because once it goes into 2021, they are going to bring out their resources, their money they have stolen, and begin to share. Now, you're going to be hearing APC, PDP, APC, PDP, what do they call it? The card that they issues out. So, Biafrans needs to understand this. Biafrans needs to understand this. You look at so far what you have seen as probe. Is it not dramatic? Is it not shameful? When you're looking at fools that called themselves leaders of a nation. We saw them falling out. We saw people trying to break their jaw and probably remove the money they must have swallowed. We saw the one that was saying to somebody that is supposed to be presiding over his case that he's telling him that he's a mushy boy. And this is what we have, that he grew up in GRA and he was a two-time governor. We see these things. And when I watch these things, very disgusted. Okay, so we need to understand what we're into. Now, that brings me into the point of processes. From the English definition of processes, we know that is activity, procedure. Okay, we know that is action, operation, and that IPOB has to embark on in order for us to get to where we're going. Our leader came out the other day and talked about by the end of the year, if we work hard. But you know what people did? They left if we work hard. They're not saying it. Everybody is coming to the radio and calling him Messiah that he never asked them to call and saying that Biafra is going to come this year. They have left out the very pivotal portion of his comment. Some goes in and lay down, and they don't help in any form because they believe that our leader does not need help. He's an ordained child of God, and therefore he doesn't get tired. They believe that he doesn't need help, and this is so sad, so sad. And it goes back to what I tell our people here until we get out from the thinking of what they call the magical religion, thinking that after speaking in tongues or after encountering and fire, or when you call Amadioha, what is Obidi Kenya or Obidi Badi, or when you were Toto, gone, it got an order. Mabi Urum, Nisi, Kokasiapa, I bear Portugal Kikabnyama. Biafra will come. That's magical religion. It doesn't happen. God in heaven says to us that prayer without works is dead.
Of course.
Prayer without works is dead. And you see people doing all manner of things, and you'll be wondering, what is the problem? How can people understand that we have to put in effort in what we're doing to make this a reality? Now, and I'm glad that our leader talked about this issue of people making videos now and talking about these clowns that from all their activities, we know that they are not fighting for Biafra. Because if you're fighting for Biafra, I don't know why you're fighting Mazi. I don't know. I don't know. If you're fighting for Biafra, I don't know why you think that Mazi cannot destroy your plan. And he never called your name. All he's doing with his family, IPOB. He doesn't talk about them, but every time they set up something, and people are sharing this thing, posting it on our forums, and suffering us from deleting these garbages. I mean, they're posting. They are posting what one crazy doctor wrote about evil. They are posting what my good said about that one is God. They are posting all kinds of things. They write on something and want you to spend time reading these things, forgetting the activities, the actions, the procedures that we are supposed to be embarking on. And I am getting disgusted over this thing. Biafra cannot come with magical religious thinking. Doesn't matter how much you pray, it cannot come. Our Lord Yeshua's first miracle, which I talked about the early stage when I joined IPOB, about if I see it's going to be an action. The mother knew that this guy is up to something. He can do something. And he wanted after, even though the son says, mother, I mean, this woman, not even mother, say, woman, what do I have to do with you now? The woman went out and told his disciple, whatever he asks you to do, do it. And our Lord Yeshua, he did not come, he has the power to command the pots that were filled to be full with wine. But you have to put in practice. So he asked them to begin to fetch water. That's the practical aspect of it, the process, the procedure, the activity. To fill the pot, first of all, so that God in heaven will do his own. Now, let me move a little bit let me bring in some other understanding. Mazi, Mefor, you talked about IPOB as a structure. And again, no one can understand what structure means if you don't understand how the body, Araya, this body system works. The body system comprised of multiple different organs. There's the skin, there's the kidney, the heart, the lungs, everything. The intestines, the brain, which is primarily doing everything. Even as I speak now, it's the brain that is commanding me to speak. But without the nerves, I'm not going to be able to speak. If Biafra does not understand this simple but complex example of what a structure is, then we must be driven. The brain is where all the things is thought about, doing everything. But without other parts of the organ, the brain is dead.
Every part has a function to
Every
perform.
part has a function. And if IPOB does not go back and make sure and hold this structure and its functions and practice it to the teeth, we must be lying to ourselves. Because even God in heaven, before he begins to say, let there be light, he drove out the demon. There's orderliness in the kingdom of God. And like I said, you mentioned about not seeing corruption. This struggle cannot be allowed, because the only thing that will take us out of this problem is, as you know, we are standing on a higher moral ground than this. But the truth, as always professed by our leader, we must be truthful. Those lying tongues need to be cut out. Otherwise, we are lying to ourselves. And what am I saying with this? As I said, the brain is the one that powers all these things. When the brain sees a food, the brain senses a food, it tells the eyes, eye sees something, sends signal to brain, and brain tells the food, go get it, and the food moves. And when they get there, the leg cannot pick it up. The hand is instructed to pick it up. In the absence of these things working together, it becomes a disease. That's a problem. Have you thought about a splinter? When we are younger, when a splinter enters your nail bed, and how disorganized you are? Have you thought about when the rectum is loaded with poop and you got to take it out of the body? How uncomfortable you are. Even if somebody is trying to give you $1 million, you don't care. You want to release that body. And in this system, remember, evil people call somebody Afano, that means you are useless. But in Afano, if the intestine, which is the Afano, does not digest the food, or even, first of all, it starts from digest, absorb, and then the nutrients that furnishes the brain is not going to come. The brain will die. Another one is the skull. There's no meat in a dog's head. Without the skull, if anything breaks the skull, the brain herniates. That means brain pops out a little bit. Confusion sets in. I don't know if I'm making sense to be a friend, because I'm trying to build a foundation.
Of course, you're on point.
Of course.
Trying to build a foundation to what we're saying. And remember, I'm still talking about the processes. Now, I talked about the vineyard initially. Recall that this vineyard is so huge, and these laborers were hired at each time. That at each point, these people, the laborers come in, they go to their respective zones. Everybody that knows about farming knows that you cannot be in the same area digging your hole, because guess what? Somebody is going to hunt one person. So we spread out, again, using the body system. Everybody, if you want BIAFRA to come, all these components of the body system has to play a role. Now, I'm going to give an example of some of the processes that we're talking about, because we talk about activity and everything. We owe it the responsibility to make a monthly payment for everyone that are assigned to be part of this noble family every month. And to make it easier for our financial head to put these monies together, these payments has to come in on or before 8th of every month, as far as this United States is concerned. I don't know what other diasporas have set up, because our leaders said to us that is the diaspora that will bring in this money. And then if you are not paying your monthly dues on time, guess what you're doing to this project? You are sabotaging. I know a lot of people will think it's just coming out like the fools that are coming and talking about our leader who is not part of this project. They will think that it's them that are the only one sabotaging. Because if the money that money that you're given is not given on time, there are things IPOB do and you are hindering. That's sabotage. You look up the word dictionary, sabotage. You are kind of antagonizing the processes. And then upon that you are not making your monthly payment, you set up an argument that gets your zonal coordinator involved, that gets everybody involved in that state. And then before you know, his story goes all the way to the national. You see? And we all took oath to not to sabotage it. From A to Z of us took oath. Now, that's just one example. Yesterday, I had the announcement that was being made about, men not controlling the account of IPUB and everything, which was said here. In the United States, we already got it right. But at the same time, people are still fighting over who controls this account, who does not control this account, because they have ulterior motive to what we're doing every day. And I also, even in this, you are not making your payment, you are creating problems. Before you know it, you go out there and say, you don't know what this money is being done used for. Okay, and that takes to another level. Because and I think that at this point in time, IPOB should know their budget. And it's going to be made clear if we want to stop all this ranting. Because people are not paying money, are coming and telling us that they are making payments. All this money paid to our leaders, is spent their money and everything. Now, this processes involves that when people make their monthly dues on time and send it to the appropriate quarters, at the end of the month, the appropriate quarters has to be transparent to tell the family where these monies are being spent on. These are part of the formalization that you are talking about. Because when I'm here, I'm making things very practical. And it's not a big deal to make this thing. Because along the line of these chains of command, there are people that are pushing, I want to know. Just provide a kind of something that tells people this money goes to this goes to this. If this went to the media, this and that. We need that by now. So that when these people are running them, and this will save us the problem of bickering. Because some of this noise making comes from all these things. And everybody in their own area. One thing that makes you part of IPOB is, again, your monthly dues. And you shouldn't waste time to make that payment. And allow this money to go where it needs to go. Because up to tomorrow, our leader have announced that we are going home by the end of this year. And everybody is leaving it for him to do. Everybody is. Then, if they didn't do it, they are sleeping. Most of the people that you're supposed to hear here, that are encouraging our people to do the right thing. They're hiding. Even when you come out here to guide our people, they think, oh, you are already talking because you have power. Meanwhile, we are trying to encourage our people to understand what we're doing. Back come so much stories because things are not completely put in place. The procedures, the activities that are supposed to shut these people up that are bickering. We are the ones that are leaving a loophole for them. We are the ones that are creating those loopholes for these fools to be talking about what we're doing. And we know, like I said before, IPOB is the only group looking for the restoration of Biafra. There are issues you talked about, the holding our people responsible at home. And up to tomorrow, I still hear people calling the radio here in the morning. I'm talking about my coordinator is doing this, my coordinator collects money, my coordinator is not giving me my receipt and everything. Then you begin to wonder, who are these coordinators? Who are these guys that are not checkmating them? Where are the, if it's a unit coordinator, where is the state coordinator? If it's the state coordinator that is making this boo, where are the national coordinators? If it's the national coordinator, where are the continental reps of that zone? That everybody is sitting behind and having our leader coming and talking about in the unit he will talk, in the zone he will talk, in the state he will talk. And then when he tells you Biafra is coming, we go back, oh my children, hey, Biafra is coming next year.
That is the shaking of responsibility that we're talking about. Every hands must be on deck, you know, to make sure that these processes are completed.
And this is what is lacking so far. Some people will jump, and some people will jump. They're hopping all over the wall, making fake videos and fake comments in the pretense of working for IPOB. And sometimes when you tell them stop, they will say you are bullying them or you are telling them what is not supposed to be told them. But the structure was put in place for a particular reason. The structures were put in place for a particular reason. We should let the structures function for the processes to be practical. There's no way the heart can contain pieces. The heart will not have any strike. What goes on with the heart is the muscle, the blood, and everything pumping. Anytime you find even air there, it's a problem. Anytime you have boo-boo there, it's a problem. And I don't know if I'm making sense here, but these are the things that we need to put together in place. And once it's put in place, once we allow the system to work, once we allow the bird to poo-poo, we allow the mouth to eat the food, then we won't have any problem with all this ranting. And I'm saying this because as I am here, with any area that I'm serving, if I'm not doing it better, I need to be asked to wait, let somebody that will do it better do it. When you see me fighting to do it, then you know that something is wrong. There's something that I'm gaining.
So in essence, what we're saying here is that there is division of labor and everybody is collectively responsible to what happens to us.
So that tomorrow they will not come and say, our leader told us BIAFRA is coming this year, and then BIAFRA didn't come. You see where you see that? Then it's going to be another war for people who are already participating to begin to defend all those things. We must take collective responsibility of what we're doing. And,
of course.
This is, you say so many things, Mazi, and
I think we will have to digest it in the next program or something.
I'm not gonna. I hope I'm making sense.
Of course. You also raised a number of issues, of course.
Somebody to come and they begin to analyze what I said, my own perspective.
That's their own business. That's their own business.
For this noble family is for everybody to take responsibility of their action. Everybody play the role you say you're doing. You know what I call mumbo jumbo? I always say that. And all these magical religious thinking that he's going to be our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu alone is going to do this. I don't believe in that. It's not. We are overlapping that man, and other people are hiding. Maybe the day they want, they buy their ticket and go where they want to go. They don't want to show their face. But thank God we're standing on a higher moral ground. They struggle. You must continue. You must bring. There's no way we can say tomorrow that we are going back to Egypt to start eating cucumber. It's not going to happen. Okay? If, like you said, it's going to get to a point when it's going to be mud fight. We jump into the mud with it. There's no going back to cucumber.
I'd insist that the right thing be done. That's it.
Amen.
Everybody, thank you very much, our American rep. And you have said it all. You've said a number of things.
Thank you very much. And I will, please permit me, I'll be listening. But I'm going to be here for another 10 minutes.
Yeah, of course, the broadcast, we're going to end it because in no time, because of the time. The Radio BIAFRA House of Service is going to come up, and so we will have to give them time to
I just
do so.
We'll continue. If you don't mind me, to
remind
go ahead. Of a few things that I always say, that you have to stay where you are, remain resilient, tell yourself the truth. There's no way, we're not going anywhere with her. And more importantly, humble yourself. God in heaven is here. He is taking us up. Thank you, my deputy, and thank you, my secretary general.
On point, my rep, on point. God bless you.
Thank God. Mazi, we can't hear you. I don't know. It's me.
I'm hearing you.
Rep, yeah, it's me.
But I'm not hearing deputy. I'm hearing rep, but I'm not hearing deputy.
Mazi, Mefor, you're not audible. Not.
No,
Nobody.
deputy, you're not audible. Not audible.
Well, if you guys can hear me, I'll beg to disengage. Uh, please, I have a lot of activities lined up for today.
Okay, my rep, I'm hearing you, but we're not hearing deputy. I think that's the
Yeah,
point.
for BIAFRA, I would say I'll see you guys once again in the future.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Rep,
thank
that's
you
great.
very much.
Let me see. Great, great. Let me see if we're not hearing you, Rep. My deputy, I'm not hearing you. Okay, it's all right. Okay. No voice, please. Nothing, nothing. No, no, no. It's not coming.